Hi, Gary Stearman. I'd like to talk for a few moments about the things that are happening right now in Syria, in the Middle East. You may have read the story of the fall of Ramadi. Ramadi is about 60 miles west of Baghdad, a very important old city in what is biblical Syria. Let me read here. Iraq has announced the launch of a military operation to drive the Islamic State, that's ISIS, out of western Anbar province, where the extremists captured the provincial capital, Ramadi, this month. That's from The Guardian, the UK Guardian. Iraqi state TV reported the start of the operation, which troops will be backed by Shia and Sunni paramilitary forces, but did not provide further details. A spokesman for Iraq's Shia militias said the operation will not last a long time, and that Iraqi forces have surrounded the provincial capital, Ramadi, from three sides. Well, the battle goes on, and I suspect it'll go on even longer. I wanted to give a little background to this area. Largely as a result of Britain's victories over the Turks in 1917, 1918, more than 10 million Arabs were liberated from Turkish rule. Of course, that was the old Ottoman Empire. This is the area we're talking about in today's news. The total area of Arab lands in Arabia was over 1 million square miles. What was then called Palestine, the only portion of the former Turkish territory set aside for a Jewish national homeland, covered, by contrast, less than 11,000 square miles. So the Jews got 11,000. The various Arab tribes got over 1 million square miles. You remember Lord Balfour. Lord Balfour in 1917 declared a homeland for the Jews. It was called the Balfour Declaration. Balfour later wrote in 1920, and I quote, "So far as the Arabs are concerned, I hope they will remember that it is we who have established an independent Arab sovereignty of the Hejaz. I hope that they will remember it is we who desire in Mesopotamia to prepare the way for the future of self-governing, autonomous Arab state. And I hope that remembering all that, they will not grudge that small notch, for it is no more than that geographically, whatever it may be historically, that small notch in what we are now calling Arab territories being given to the people who, for all these hundreds of years, have been separated from it." And so Lord Balfour referred to Israel as a small notch in Greater Syria. Well, Greater Syria became Iraq a little bit later on. And of course, that was the beginning of what we see today, in which brother against brother, a series of battles have evolved right down to the point that we see today now fighting within old Syria, old Mesopotamia in the borders, going all the way back to 1917, 18, were laid out by the British. ISIS, going back to the Guardian article for today, ISIS began to seize large parts of Anbar from early 2014. The fall of Ramadi marked a major defeat for Iraqi forces, which had been making steady progress against the extremists over the past year with the help of U.S.-led airstrikes. This is the territory that was laid out by the British in various treaties in 1917, 18, 19, 20. They drew artificial borders, hoping to create peace in the region, and what they created, well, you see what they created. Constant conflict, and over it all, a threat to take what Lord Balfour called a small notch out of Arab territory, that 11,000 square miles, which has since come to be called Israel. You know, there's a story in the Bible, in chapter 5 of 2 Kings, and it starts out this way. Now, Naaman, captain of the host of the king of Syria, was a great man with his master and honorable, because by him the Lord had given him deliverance unto Syria. He was also a mighty man in valor, but he was a leper. So Naaman was seeking a cure for his leprosy. And he had heard about the prophet. And he had sought the cure through the prophet of God that he had heard about. And so he brought his horses and his retinue down out of Syria into Israel. And verse 9 of 2 Kings chapter 5 says, So Naaman came with his horses and with his chariot and stood at the door of Elisha. And Elisha sent a messenger unto him, saying, Go and wash in Jordan 7 times, and thy flesh shall come again to thee, and thou shalt be clean. But Naaman was wroth, that is, he was very angry, and went away and said, Behold, I thought, he will surely come out to me and stand and call on the name of the Lord his God, and strike his hand over the place and recover the leper. In other words, he was looking for a touch, a healing touch from the man of God. And the man of God said, No, you go wash in the Jordan. And Naaman said, here's verse 12, Are not Abana and Pharpar, the rivers of Damascus, better than all the waters of Israel? May I not wash in them and be clean? So he turned and went away in a rage. And it struck me reading this in the context of the Balfour Declaration, the subsequent lines of statehood artificially drawn by the British going up through 1915, 16, 17, 18 in that variety of agreements designed to bring unity and peace to the old empire. It just struck me how little things have changed in all these thousands of years. You've still got a guy like Naaman the Syrian who comes down seeking something. He's told how to get it, and what happens? He gets really mad, rides back to Damascus and said, You know what? We've got better rivers up in Syria than they've got down here. I'm not going to wash in the Jordan River. The old hatreds are still the old hatreds. Now they're the new hatreds. The fight goes on. And one of these days, that whole territory is going to be cleaned up. Just thought I'd talk about that today because you're going to be reading a lot more articles like this one in The Guardian about the fighting between ISIS and between the various factions of what is now called Iraq, but which is really old Mesopotamia. Going to hear about a lot of fighting in the coming days. One of these days it's going to be cleaned up, and it's going to be cleaned up supernaturally. I'm Gary Stearman. We're watching. So you be watching too. Thanks for joining us on Prophecy Watchers. You can find us on the web at prophecywatchers.com, where you can sign up for our free email newsletter, or follow us at facebook.com/prophecywatchers. In the meantime, keep watching, everybody, and we'll see you soon.